My topic today is radar guns and their effect on society. Have you ever wondered how someone came up with the radar gun? And what are the uses of the radar gun? I know most commonly you think of the radar gun is used for tracking speeds of cars for cops giving out tickets, traffic citations. And that is the main use of the radar gun. They're also used in sports though, for baseball, basketball, hitting a hockey puck, tennis. They're used in a lot of different sports. The radar gun was invented over 60 years ago in 1954 by Brian Brown in Chicago. It was first used on the Chicago police force, and by 1960, early 1960s, they were nationwide. Almost every police force had a radar gun available to them. And the thing about radar guns is they're still very young, they're very new in technology, and that's really impressive for the fact that they've been around so long. They're constantly being innovative and constantly coming up with new ways to improve. The radar gun originally used X-band arrays, and they had measurements between 8 and 12 gigahertz. Those are the frequencies they covered. Then once those became obsolete, they switched to K-bands, which measured between 18 and 26.5 gigahertz. Then they advanced to Ka, which measured 26.5 to 40 gigahertz. Now, with the technology we have, they use laser and radio frequency waves to get more accurate readings. Most radar guns have to be held by hand to get an accurate reading anymore, but there are some, for example in construction zones, that are electronically enforced by cameras, and you can set them up on tripods or in the back of vehicles sitting in the construction site to help measure, which is a great technology because it's so hard to get an accurate reading when you're holding something by hand. Not everyone's hands are that stable. So, switching on to sports a little bit, the radar guns changed so much in sports alone. For example, baseball, it was initially used just to measure pitching speed for recruitment. Now it's used to measure the swing of batters, the speed of throws from outfielders into the infield. Tennis, it's used to measure serves. Soccer, it's used to measure kicks. They use it in even football for measuring quarterbacks' arm strength. But one of the most important sports that it's used in is NASCAR. It's used because NASCAR has restrictor plates, which limit the speed that you're allowed to go in a race without being disqualified. So if they were not able to get accurate readings, drivers could go whatever speed they want. But if they have accurate radar guns, then they can be able to disqualify people whenever it's necessary, which makes the sport more fair. Now, radar gun technology is very complex. In the early 1990s, the National Institute of Scientific Standards completed a survey and a study on radar guns, and they were unhappy with the results. They didn't feel that the results they got were up to par. And after the results came out, the National Institute of Scientific Standards set new regulations for radar guns that must be met before law enforcement was allowed to use them anymore. So, there were several reasons, though, for the inaccurate results. Some of them were the fact that police officers were not properly trained. They're hard to get accurate results when you're holding a gun, having to hold it steady in front of you. It's hard to do when you're trying to get a moving car. Also, the angle has to be perfect. The angle trajectory can make a miles per hour be off by a lot if you don't hit it. If it's too high or too low, it would be a very inaccurate reading. Another thing was that there were other objects such as CB radios, police radios, and metal signs which interfered with the signal, causing inaccurate results. But the fact that they found all of these out just means that it's much easier for them to fix the problem when they know what the problem actually is. And technology in radar guns has advanced so much that now radar detectors are not just guns. They even make them for your cell phone. You can download them in the App Store. Granted, they're not as accurate, but the fact that we have the technology to even do that is very impressive. They also make baseballs that have a radar in it that supposedly track how fast you can throw. Granted, they're not that accurate either, but it's still, the technology is there. And in conclusion, radar guns are not even considered a mature product yet. They're still in their growth phase. They're constantly seeking for new technology and new ideas to make them more accurate. So once they become into their mature stage, that's when they'll be at their peak. That's when traffic and everything will become more under control. Speeding will decrease drastically once they're able to enforce the laws and regulations as they do in construction sites on every road. So it's been over 60 years and they're still a growing product. They're still in their growth phase. There's no telling how long it will be before they are considered a mature product and reach their peak, but at this rate it could be a while, with the advancements in technology drastically changing every 5-10 years. So there's no denying that radar guns have a lot of problems they need to fix, but the amount that they have increased in the last 60 years is great.